Hello, Namaskar, and good evening. Welcome to the seminar on Best Borrowing Practices organized by State Bank of Sikkim. Well, the main idea behind organizing this event is to make our participants as well as the viewers aware on these smart borrowing practices and of course how one can become a smart borrower. Also, there would be a discussion on why, how and how much to borrow from the bank's perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, let me inform you that this event is being telecast live on Sikkim Chronicle and Hamro Varta television. So we also have the presence of eminent personalities today in this event, from the bureaucrat, bankers, entrepreneurs, scholars, chartered accountants, academicians, advocates, students, and the representatives from media. Well, to highlight more on the event and also to explain envisaging this seminar, I would now like to request the Managing Director of State Bank of Sikkim, Mr. P. Wongdi Bhutia, to come and share his vision on the event. Mr. P. Wongdi Bhutia.
Good evening. I'm here to welcome all of you here. We are just making it little informal, unlike we are trying to break the tradition of, inviting a chief guest, honorable, special guest, etc. So for today, all present here, all of you are our chief guests. For us, all of you are very important. This program is live on TV, and we hope that every interaction that we are going to make, you are going to make, is making a practical impact in the economic scenario of our state. So to begin with, we are honored to have with us our Honorable Chairman, State Bank of Sikkim, Sri D.B. Gurung sir. He is coming all the way from Soring after attending his program there. So thank you so much. And I would request my team to kindly offer khada and flower bouquet to welcome him. Similarly, we have with us a very energetic, our Additional Chief Secretary, sir, for Commerce and Industry and Tourism and Civil Aviation Department, Sri G.P. Upadhyay sir. When I went to him yesterday to invite him, such a positive vibe I got from him. He was so excited to attend this meeting. We are hopeful that his insight will definitely chart a way forward in the economic development of this state. So I would request my team to kindly offer khada and flower bouquet to welcome him. We also have our ex-MD and Secretary to the Government of Sikkim, who is now retired, but who accepted our invitation to attend this meeting today. So please, let's welcome Sri Hemke Chhetri. Can you please offer khada and flower bouquet to... We have with us today a very prominent, eminent professor, Professor S.S. Mahapatra. I don't know why he went back, because our professors are like that only. They want to be down to earth. Welcome, sir. We are honored to have you here in this program. We also have with us Dr. C.V. Chhetri, who has also who has also worked in the State Bank of Sikkim and now a deputy registrar with the Sikkim University, and who is also going to make a presentation on banks in Sikkim. So please welcome him with a khada and bouquet. We would also like to welcome Mr. Michel Chandak, the chartered accountant, a prominent, eminent chartered accountant from Gangtok. He is with us to share his ideas. So please welcome him with khada and bouquet. We also have with us Mr. Navneet Pradhan, who is a financial consultant and who is an ex-ICICI banker and a financial expert. I think with his insight, we are going to be enriched. So welcome. I think if we go on offering khada to each and everybody, it would take too long. So in short, I'll welcome each and every one of you here. Mr. Raz Lama from Seed Sale is there with his team. Okay, please offer khada to Mr. Raz Lama. We also have with us today students from Sikkim University and Narwada Degree College, Gangtok, as well as entrepreneurs of Skill Youth Startup Scheme. We also have brought some success stories which they will be sharing with us today. So all entrepreneurs and all invitees, all our customers from State Bank of Sikkim and other areas, I would like to welcome you this evening here in this program, and we hope, I think all of you will interact, actively participate in the discussions and take forward this seminar to a logical end today. I would like to welcome the media partner, Sikkim Hamro Varta and Sikkim Chronicle, and all those who are present here, my colleagues from State Bank of Sikkim and other colleagues. So welcome all. So to say something on this program today, we thought, we have a tendency to go to bank asking for loan, and we have seen, throughout my banking career, I have observed that people borrow and they suffer whole of their life trying to service their debt. When they borrow, they don't know how much to borrow. And when they make over borrowing, so they get into debt trap. So this is one thing I think we should avoid. There are many people, many individuals who throughout their life, keeps on trying to manage their debts, and they suffer whole of their life. There are entrepreneurs who makes either over borrowing or they make under borrowing. In both cases, they suffer. So there has to be optimum level of borrowing and a need-based borrowing. How this can be achieved? These ideas, I hope, would be discussed today, and all those present here, and all those entrepreneurs and interested people watching us through live TV, they would be benefited. So today, I hope the interaction which is going to take place here would take us to a next level of financial discipline. It's very important to have a financial planning in life. And if we don't have financial planning, we will always suffer. This is what is happening in and around us. And we would like everyone to avoid that situation in life. So without taking much time, I would now request Nirmal to take over from me, and thank you for him very much, and I welcome all of you once again to this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wongdi, for explaining the concept of the seminar. All right, now I just would like to invite on stage Dr. C.B. Chetri, who in fact is the Deputy Registrar at Sikkim University. And not only this, he has also done his PhD on study on performance of state-owned banks of Sikkim. I would like to welcome Dr. C.B. Chetri for his presentation.
Thank you, Nemal Manga. Good evening, everyone. Namaste. I'm honored and at the same time extremely excited to be here with you all this evening. I thank the Managing Director, State Bank of Sikkim, and the entire organizing team from the State Bank of Sikkim for their invitation to such a momentous occasion and to deliberate on important issue like smart borrowing. This is, I'm really thankful to the Managing Director and the entire organizing team. Tonight, I'll not be sharing what is already available on Google on smart borrowing. We all know Google gives you a whole list of things which you can do to be a smart borrower. Rather, I would like to take you through my small borrowing experience. The idea of sharing my experience is just to see that how borrowing happens and then what normally we do and we fall in trap as being already said by the MD sir. I came from a very humble family, I must say. We were in a rented accommodation almost for 15, 16 years in and around 5th Mile. And after 15, 16 years, we decided to go back to our original place, that is Rumtek. But we knew that the house that we left 15 years back is not in a state for our early return to home. By then, I had gained some stability in my life. I had already worked with ICFI College, some teaching I did in ICFI College. Sometime I was in Sikkim Government College also. I also worked as a state accounts manager in the National Rural Health Mission. Those days it used to be the biggest project under health department. I also worked as a probationary officer in this very bank, State Bank of Sikkim. I was one of the 5 POs being selected in the year 2009. I could see my friend's face here. And then finally I went to Sikkim University in 2010. So we decided, in fact my family decided to build a small house, and then I had to wander almost for a year for a housing loan, and my loan applications were being rejected almost by all the banks, including State Bank of Sikkim. And just to clarify, I'm not challenging the reason for rejection because different banks have different set of rules, and they have different lending rules, or I should say credit policy. So for some or the other reason, my loans were not getting accepted. So then a thought came to my mind. Am I smart enough to even borrow? Forget about smart borrower or bad borrower or good borrower. That thought came to am I even smart enough to borrow? But luckily this thought did not last for a long. I could manage a decent loan, and with some of my savings I could construct a house. Though I thought I had 3 critical things that I consider to be very essential for any borrowing or any good borrower. One is the objective or the purpose of the borrowing. I had a clear purpose of building a house. Second, the capacity to repay. By then, as I've told you, I was pretty stable. I had a source of income, so I had a capacity to repay. And third, which I consider to be the most important, which I'm sure MD sir will also agree, intention to repay. Sometimes what happens, borrower, they are having the capacity of repayment, but what happens, they don't have intention to repay. So I've seen many people who, instead of, even having the capacity to repay, they are not repaying because they don't have that intention to repay. So in my case, it was a housing loan, but the same principle holds good even in case of business loans or things like that. As there are several speakers on the topic, so who are more knowledgeable and experienced than me, so I would rather refrain from speaking more on this topic. I now would like to briefly take you through my research work titled A Study of Performance of State-Owned Banks of Sikkim. In this research, what I basically did is I compared the state-owned banks of Sikkim with almost 60 commercial banks in India, operating in India, using Camel model and econometric models like data envelopment analysis and Malmquist productivity index. These are the different economic tools that I've used to compare our state-owned banks with the rest of the banks in India. Almost 60 banks I studied. By the way, actually, what happened was after the award of my PhD degree, I had 2 extra copies of my thesis. So, and usually what happens after the award of PhD degree, these theses, they rot on library shelves. And they never reach to the institution being researched or to the policymaker. So, in my case, as I I felt I had done a decent work, so I decided I'll submit a copy to the State Bank of Sikkim and Cisco. And I must admit that both the respected MDs of both the banks, they gave me a patient hearing on what I intended to do in my research work. So as I've told you, my research is basically a comparative work, but tonight I'll only focus on the State Bank of Sikkim's journey over the last 10 years. As discussing my work, even on SBS only, would take a long time. So what I'm sharing tonight are just few parameters where the bank has profusely excelled and a few other essential findings. So ladies and gentlemen, this is my topic of the research, a study of performance of state-owned banks, but I'll be focusing only on State Bank of Sikkim tonight. This slide is just to give you an overview of how banking business is being shared by the various banks in the state of Sikkim. As you can see at the top, State Bank of Sikkim, and at the bottom, State Bank of India. So you can clearly see State Bank of Sikkim is as big as State Bank of India in the state of Sikkim. And SBS and Cisco put together, they control 49% of the banking business in the state of Sikkim. So I'll not go into much details. I'll not be explaining you how, why, those things here. I'll just quickly go through my slides. What I've done to do in my research is let us see the capital adequacy of the bank. This signifies the adequacy of the capital of the State Bank of Sikkim. Now in this slide, if you can see, when in 2011, it was just 0.26, and you can see a substantial growth over the years. Now, at one point of time, it was 6.29, now it is 5.7. So, what I mean to say is, over the last 10 years, Sikkim Bank has substantially improved in terms of capital to risk asset ratio. Though the level is still below the prescribed level of 9% by the RBI, but the improvement is clear and heading towards the level being prescribed by the RBI. Now, debt to equity ratio, smaller is the better. Now see, the debt at one point of time, it was 461 times of the equity. Now it has gone substantially low, though it is still above the ideal level, but has substantially improved over the years. Equity to total asset ratio also, if you can see, there is a clear-cut, substantial improvement over the years. Now let us see the asset quality of the State Bank of Sikkim. NPA, as is the case with all the banks in India, is slightly on higher side, and I'm sure the bank must be working towards it to bring it down to the ideal level. NPA to equity ratio also has been declining, and that's a very positive sign. We can see even total investment to total asset ratio, if you see, there is a substantial improvement. In 2011-12, it was just 0.58. Now it has reached 13%. This means the investment from the deposit has become 13.07%. Now let us quickly see the management efficiency of this state-owned State Bank of Sikkim. Now credit to deposit ratio, if you see, it started from 19.6. That is way below than what is an ideal ratio. Ideal ratio is somewhat between 70 to 75, or 65 to 75. Now you can see in 2019 and 20, it has reached 70%, and that's a very good welcoming sign for the State Bank of Sikkim. Business per employee also for the State Bank of Sikkim, as you see, there is a substantial growth in business per employee. Even profit per employee has improved over the year. Of course, there are still scope to further improvement, but it has substantially improved over the year. Now let us quickly go through the earning quality of the State Bank of Sikkim. A return on asset, which is actually a single parameter which defines the bank, health of the bank, has improved over the year. It was 0.58, now it has become 0.77. At one point of time, it was almost 0.9. Spread to total assets there is a decline. It should have been increased, but there is a decline. There must be some reason, and in my thesis, you might find why the spread to total asset has declined, as I'm not explaining why and how. Operating cost to total income ratio, lesser the better. Operating cost at one point of time was 91%. Now it has gone down to 88.062%, which is a substantial improvement, I must say. Even the operating profit to total asset ratio has improved over the year. It's a positive signal. Let us just quickly see the liquidity status or state of the State Bank of Sikkim. 11 and 12, State Bank of Sikkim had a cash to total asset ratio of 5.17%. This is highly liquid. Now what happens if you are excessively liquid? That means you are retaining your earning, your deposit in your bank, and you are not investing it. So you are losing money. So this has come down. It's a very positive sign for the State Bank of Sikkim. Likewise, liquid asset to total asset ratio also has declined over the year. Very positive sign. Loan to deposit ratio, see, at one point of time, it was just 19 and 59% of the deposit were being lent. Now it has gone to 70%, which is a very welcoming and the positive signal for the State Bank of Sikkim. Now, in my things, I have told you about some econometric models that I've used. I have used data envelopment analysis, which is an econometric model, to find out the efficiency of this bank. Now, as you can see, wherever you see one and being highlighted in orange are the years where State Bank of Sikkim were efficient. 2011, 12, and 12 and 13, you see inefficiencies there. And 17, 18, after demonetization, there are some inefficiency has cropped in. But overall, the efficiency level of the State Bank of Sikkim is very good. Now, in my research, you will find the reason also why there is an inefficiency. Just to give you an example. In 2012 and 13, in my earlier side, you can just see this OT. 0.912 means it is less than 1, they are inefficient in this particular year. Now, in my thesis, you'll find the reasons also. Reason is like this. You just see this highlighted one, yellow color. SBS could have produced similar level of output, that is interest income and non-interest income, by deploying less of inputs by this many percentage. So details you can find it in my thesis. And lastly, what I've also done in my research is I've also assessed the productivity of the state-owned banks of Sikkim and along with the productivity of 60 commercial banks in India. As you can see, I'll not go year-wise. The mean you can see it is -4%. That means there was a productivity decline over the year. And this is basically because the demonetization had some impact on the bank, especially State Bank. This is just the trend you can see. I need not elaborate. This slide I'll just explain you. See, before demonetization, that means still 2015-16, actually 16-17, 1 year we just leave for the, because the model runs like that. So pre-demonetization, the State Bank of Sikkim were having a productivity growth of 3.4%. Post-demonetization, there is a productivity decline of 10.3%. Now, this slide I wanted to show, as I've told you, I had compared state-owned Bank of Sikkim, not only SBS, the other state-owned banks also. This will give you the idea of the trend of state-owned banks of Sikkim as against public sector banks in Sikkim, not only in Sikkim, in India, private banks and even foreign banks. The blue one is the state-owned banks of Sikkim, which includes SBS and Cisco. So as you can see, things have not been good for the Indian banking sector after demonetization, except for the private bank. Except for the private bank, yes. Except for the foreign banks. So this was my work. I mean, basically what I wanted to inform the gathering is, over the last 10 years, things have been improving for the State Bank of Sikkim. Though in some parameters, still scope is there. But I suppose with the able leadership of the present MD, bank has been substantially improving in all the aspects. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. C.B. Chetri, for that insightful presentation. Yes, many a times we fail to validate or to recognize the contribution, especially made by the banks. We vividly remember how the bank functioned during the time of COVID-19 crisis. And I also got an opportunity to report the functioning of some of the banks in the interiors of Sikkim, where the staffs were working very efficiently and diligently despite of the pandemic crisis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we move on straight to the panel discussion. And the topic for the panel discussion is best borrowing practice. And we have an eminent panelist today who would be delving more in detail on the topic for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I would like to welcome the first panelist for the first session, Mr. Phurba Wangdi Bhutia, Managing Director, State Bank of Sikkim. We also have been joined by one of the most renowned and a popular chartered accountant from the state of Sikkim, Mr. Michel Chandak. We welcome you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have an eminent presence of Advocate Shri K.B. Chetri, and he would be one of the panelists for the event today. All right, and our last panelist is Shri Navneet Pradhan, who is the financial consultant. All right, let me start with Mr. Furba Wongdi Bhutia. Since you envisaged this event and the topic which in catches us is be a smart borrower. For me, a smart borrower is someone who doesn't borrow at all. So for the bank, especially in terms of State Bank Sikkim, who and what is a smart borrowing, or who is a smart borrower?
See, when we say smart borrowing, you know, in the bank we have seen, you know, people come to us and asking for loan, no? So first thing they ask is how much I get. You know, the wrong thing begins from there. Right? I think if I can put it in Nepali, you know, I think it would be easier for everybody to understand. No? So bank ma aera sabhanda पहिला question सोध्छ कति पाउँछ भनेर क्या हैन. So that's the wrong way of asking for a loan. So when you ask that question, immediately the banker डराइहाल्छ नि अब what kind of person is this? You know, he doesn't know how much to borrow. Right? So first thing चाहिँ जो पनि ब्याङ्कमा जान्छ borrowingमा, number one thing that he should understand why he is borrowing. Whether borrow गर्नु पर्छ कि पर्दैन, लोन लिनु पर्छ कि पर्दैन, के को लागि लिने, कति लिनु पर्ने, that the entrepreneur or जो पनि छ, individuals जो पनि छ, लोन लिँदाखेरि कति लिनु पर्ने, के लिनु, यो सबै याद भएर पहिला क्याल्कुलेटिभ हुन्छ. Borrowing should be very very calculative because it is cost bearing, no? Loan लिँदा त cost हुन्छ नि, interest is a cost. You have to repay the loan. And you have to repay the loan. So you should know how much to borrow, why to borrow. So if you know all these things, I think that would be the smart borrowing.
Absolutely. I'll come back to you. So many a times we see a kind of borrowers who in fact does not have idea about how to borrow and what is the process of, like, you know, borrowing. So जब पनि कसै entrepreneurs अथवा कसैले आफ्नो प्रोजेक्टलाई फाइनेन्स गर्नको लागि ब्याङ्कमा जान्छ, then the first thing I think a bank asks is about the DPR, detailed project report, and borrower जो हुन्छ immediately chartered accountantकोमा जानुहुन्छ, and I think the big onus lies with you as to make people understand about the financial implications, what happens when you borrow from the bank. Michel sir, we just wanted to understand your point of view as being a chartered accountant in this context.
Yeah, good evening to everybody. See, as far as borrowing is concerned, borrowing we really have to be extra cautious. Not cautious, but then I'll use the word extra cautious. Zaruri sa. Why? Because borrowing is something which is perennial, and it's like a disease which is attached to it. The interest is a disease. You might sleep, but your interest will not sleep. You have to understand that fact. So one thing I would like to put more focus is that before you apply for a loan, we really need to plan, do a research, market study, and then only think of taking the loan. I'm nowhere discounting ki loan linu huna. We should take loan. We should definitely take loan. But after doing a thorough research, because see, it's a cost. There is a cost. So there is a cost attached to it. So since there is a cost attached to it, and our planning should be done in such a manner that we should not over borrow or under borrow also at the same time. So,
but do you make people understand the implications when they come?
Definitely, because see, what happens is normally in Sikkim, what happens is people come, they say ki I have a property which is worth 10 crores. Aba bank le ta malai kam se kam 8 crore ta dincha hola ni. The question is normally that. I said 8 crore. I said you may not have 10 crores, you may have a Taj Mahal with you. Taj Mahal, you may own a Taj Mahal, but actually what do you want money for? Bank is not interested in keeping Taj Mahal. Bank has no intentions of keeping Taj Mahal. Banks wants to give you money for the purpose you require. So we make them understand, and I tell them, please give me your figures. What do you intend to do? How do you intend to do? So these are the ways we stress upon the borrower.
Right, right. Let me come to Sir KB Chetri. Legal point of view, ma alikati bhandinuhoस् न यो topic माथि.
यो आजको टपिकै साह्रै मलाई चाहिँ इन्ट्रेस्ट लाग्यो किनभने अब स्मार्ट बरोबर हुनुपर्छ अब स्मार्ट बरोबर भएन भने चाहिँ अब यसको इम्प्लिकेसन चाहिँ के हुन्छ अब यसमा चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने अब ब्याङ्कले जुनै पनि ब्याङ्क होस् चाहे प्राइभेट होस् चाहे गभर्मेन्टको होस् अब पैसा नतिरेपछि कोर्ट त लानु पर्यो है अब कोर्टमा लगिसकेपछि यस्तो हुन्छ कि अब कोही अब चिनिराखेको मान्छे चिनिराखेको त्यो अब हामीहरू चाहिँ के फिल हुन्छ भने अब सपोज अब कसैले त्यहाँनिर लग्यो भने अरे यो मान्छेले पनि अब लोन खाएको रहेछ है अब यसरी तिरेको छैन सरकारी पैसा फर्काएको छैन भनेपछि अब त्यो उसको अब हाम्रो विचारमा उसप्रतिको अलिकति अब त्यो घटेर जान्छ अन्त अब अहिले हाम्रो चाहिँ यहाँ सिक्किममा अब विशेष गरेर चाहिँ के छ भने तपाईँको अब लोन लियो अघि उहाँ सरले भने जस्तो 5 करोड 6 करोड लोन लियो अन्त एउटा जमिन राखेको हुन्छ है यो एउटा दुईवटा के राख्छ त्यहाँदेखि पैसै तिर्दैन अब अस्ति हामीले त्यो एउटा लिस्ट बनाएर चाहिँ अब एसपिडिआरएमा हाल्नुपर्छ भनेर कतिजना चिनेकै साथीहरू पनि थिए त्यसमा मैले एमडी सरलाई पनि सोधेर सर म एकखेप उहाँहरूलाई एकखेप यो कोसिस गरौँ यसमा के गर्नुपर्छ भनेर भन्दा हुन्छ भन्नुभयो अन्त भन्दाखेरि के भन्यो नि ए त्यो एउटा जमिन त थियो नि त्यो लैजाओस् म पैसै तिर्दिनँ भन्छ सिधै अब तर उनीहरूकोमा चाहिँ यस्तो रङ इम्प्रेसन छ कि अब यो अब कस्तो भने अघि सरले भन्नुभएको जस्तो अब लोन लिएपछि इन्ट्रेस्ट त बढेर गइहाल्छ अब त्यो बढ्दै बढ्दै जाँदा त्यो जमिनको भ्यालु कति थियो त्योभन्दा बेसी इन्ट्रेस्ट र यसमा गयो अब अहिले के छ भने अब यो चाहिँ अब यस्तो कन्सेप्ट चाहिँ यो अब हामीले जनतामा पुर्याउनुपर्छ कि अब जुन जमिन राखेको छ त्यो मात्रै लान्छ ब्याङ्कले अरू लाँदैन भन्ने त्यो चाहिँ रङ छ अब सकेन भने त 5 करोड लोन लिएको छ उसको त्यो जमिनले नै त्यति गरेन भने त उसको अरू प्रोपर्टी पनि त ब्याङ्कले लिनु पऱ्यो अनि चाहे उसको के अरे मुभेबल होस् या इमुभेबल जेसुकै छ ब्याङ्क ब्यालेन्सै छ भने पनि उसले पैसा चाहिँ तिर्नु पऱ्यो अब उसले चाहिँ यति हो कि अब ब्याङ्कको पैसा लगिसकेपछि चाहिँ अब कोर्टले पनि अब जब रिकभरीमा जान्छ रिकभरीमा गएपछि अब बिचारा छैन रहेछ एउटा मात्रै घर रहेछ एउटा मात्रै गाडी रहेछ उसको नानीहरू पढ्दै रहेछ अब त्यो इमोसन त्यो त्यतापट्टि चाहिँ कोर्ट चाहिँ जानु सक्दैन
सो मिस्टर नवनीत तपाईले सोध्न चाहन्छु है सिक्किममा हेर्यो भने यस्तो ट्रेडिसन अथवा प्रथा छैन वे अ पर्सन कन्सल्ट्स अ फाइनान्शियल कन्सल्टेन्ट व्हेन दे हैव टु टेक डिसिजन व्हेन इट कम्स टु लाइक फाइनान्सेस नि त काहीँ न काहीँ गएर फाइनान्शियल लिट्रेसीको पनि कुरा आउँछ यसमा है सो what you have to say, how do you see especially the mindset of the borrower in terms of Sikkim's perspective?
See, first of all, what happens is, so education is the most key to any becoming a smart borrower, you know. So now, traditionally what has been happening, people are going to banks, just, you know, like Furbasa said, just asking, okay, how much do I get? But the whole process of borrowing actually starts with, what is my budget? You know, first you need to understand what is my income. Either by way of a salary person, you calculate a FOIR calculation, that is a fixed obligation to your income, or as a businessman, you understand your cash flow. So a bank is not interested how much collateral you want to keep. The bank is always interested, how do you repay the loan? No debt is bad. You know, every debt that a person takes is good, you know, if he can utilize it properly. So the bank, the intention, like Mr. Chetri said, that the intention, I believe every customer, the intention is good. You know, we cannot doubt the intention of any borrower. But when the budget fails, when he over borrows, or when he has a capacity to pay, say 50,000, he borrows to pay 1 lakh rupees, and he has to run his household also. That is when he starts failing. You know, so the intention, the character, everything goes on a downside only when you do not calculate your budget. So that is the beginning of financial planning or taking a loan also.
Sir, as Mr. Dr. Chetri was making his presentation, he highlighted, like, you know, 3 major points of like, you know, borrowing the loan from the bank. The objective first, why you are taking the loan. Second is the capacity to repay the loan. And third is the intent to repay. Which are the, like, you know, biggest factors for the banks like you, which you are, like, you know, I mean, having a problem with in these 3 categories?
See, when a person comes to bank to borrow, for a loan, I can tell you with certainty, the 99.9% borrowers comes with the intention to repay the loan. Nobody borrows except some in exceptional cases, कोही पनि मान्छेले लोन लिँदा म लोन तिर्दै तिर्दिन भनेर चाहिँ लिँदैन खासमा लोन चाहिँ तिर्छु नै भनेर लिएको हुन्छ बट द इग्नोरेन्स पार्ट जुन चाहिँ बरोवरकोमा इग्नोरेन्स पार्ट हुन्छ समटाइम लाइक बजेटिङ भने नि हैन रङ बजेटिङ there is a habit people doesn't understand that working capital loan funded by the bank is used to acquire a fixed asset हुन्छ नि हैन एउटा बिजनेस चलाउँदा वर्किङ क्यापिटल दिएको हुन्छ सपोज फर इक्जाम्पल अ कन्ट्र्याक्टरलाई कन्ट्र्याक्ट गर्ने पैसा दिन्छ तर बट ही गोज एन्ड बाइज अ कार सो दिज आर द फ्याक्टर्स यो फ्याक्टर्सहरूले चाहिँ अल्टिमेटली that dead stockमा चाहिँ when they make the investment so they don't get the return and then the loan goes bad so it is actually defaulters are sometimes circumstantial sometimes in some cases business fails for example during COVID time hotels failed it was not under anybody's control it happened so that has to be accepted but in many cases we do it because of ignorance हुन्छ नि हामीले borrow गर्छ but we don't utilize it properly हाम्रोमा त्यो जुन चाहिँ projection हुन्छ when you draw a DPR you are talking about DPR the DPR draw this detailed project report is a blueprint of a business okay like when you construct a hotel building बनाउँदाखेरि blueprint बनाउँछ नक्सा बनाउँछ हामीले है फाउन्डेसनमा हामी यति रड लाउँछौँ सिमेन्ट लाउँछौँ यस्तो प्रकारले कन्स्ट्रक्सन गर्दै 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 जान्छौँ हैन फर्स्ट मन्थ वी विल कन्स्ट्रक्ट दिस मच सेकेन्ड मन्थ वी विल गो सो बाई द एन्ड अफ से 12 months 13 months वी विल कम्प्लिट द बिल्डिङ एन्ड वी विल जस्ट get into the building and we will live there भन्ने जुन चाहिँ प्लानिङ हुन्छ हैन so similarly in business also when you make a DPR detailed project report बनाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ that should be there so first year how much you are going to invest where you are going to make the invest how you are going to generate your revenue okay how much the liability you are going to shed so this detailed project report ma chahi yo sab hunu parcha and second year where you are going to make the investment how you are going to recover so a businessman has to follow the DPR DPR chahi unle personal diary jasto garera rakhnu parcha but then what happens my chartered accountant friend is here they prepared the DPR okay and the borrower they does not know anything about his DPR so here the major fault line lies here if I am not wrong you can correct me
so do you agree Mr. Michel what Mr. Fulba Wangdi is saying
yes I definitely agree
okay so I mean what is the way forward to solve this problem
see the way forward ki normally I want ki customers aera one to one sitting garu hamiसँग before preparing a project बेसिक डेटाहरु त उनीहरुको तर्फबाट दिउँ एक्चुअली बिकज हामीलाई त भन्छ कि लु मलाई 5 करोड को लोन चाहियो सो नर्मली हाम्रो दिमाग त के काम गर्छ कि तपाईलाई 5 करोड को लोन चाहियो तपाईले यति सिभिल एस्टिमेट ल्याउनु अब उहाँले गएर सिभिल एस्टिमेट पनि त्यसरी लिएर आइहाल्छ है सिभिल एस्टिमेट पनि कुदेर भ्यालुअरबाट रेजिस्टर्ड भ्यालुअर भइहाल्छ तपाईको जमिनको यति भ्यालु हुनुपर्छ स्वाटै भ्यालुअरले यसो हेर्छ यो भ्यालुलाई चाहिँ कम्ती बनायो अर्को भ्यालुअरकोमा जाउँ अलिक बेसी बनाऊ so that becomes very wrong very very wrong so his intention is just to get a higher hiccup but aba reality ma janda the what I'll say is ki when I try to decrease the room tariff because you see ki in Gangtok what is Gangtok ya Sikkim as a whole on an average every year around 500 rooms are being added sir 500 room add hunda sir in the tourism field formally informally and with all these e-commerce operators, they're turning up the low rates because there's a huge amount of stiff competition. Right. So when we decrease the room rates, automatically revenue goes down. So revenue down, we'll say कि यो project त्यति feasible छैन. then what, normally people are very, somebody has done this. I said, somebody has done this long time back. Ajuko dinma yo practical chaina. Because maybe hotel industry was good maybe 8 years ago, 7 years ago, but today, on a very fresh note, if you say, I have 15 crores, I want another loan of 15 crores, and I want to run a hotel in the vicinity of Gangtok. It's a very difficult task.
So this is what exactly I wanted to bring on discussion is that सिक्किममा हाम्रो एउटा प्रथा के छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ एकजनाले चार तले बिल्डिङ बनायो अर्कोले पनि चार तले बिल्डिङ बनाउनै पर्छ एकजनाले इनोभा किन्यो अर्कोले पनि इनोभा किन्नै पर्छ एकजनाले होटल बनायो अर्कोले पनि होटल बनाउनु पर्छ despite of not knowing the future implications, financial implications. Mr. Navneet, are the Sikkimese people inflicted with this herd mentality? एउटा herd immune एउटा mentality हुन्छ नि क्या?
See, I think it is again like you asked me earlier. It is more about awareness, you know. So, एउटै चीज गरे भने सबैले त्यसमै profit हुन्छ भन्ने छैन. So, there are ancillary businesses which people need to just explore now in the day of Google and other things. There are a lot of things that can be explored beyond what is there right now. Say, for example, like you mentioned, a hotel business. So just because you open a hotel business does not mean I need to open a hotel business. I can supplement you by opening a laundry business. So there are opportunities amongst what we have here in Sikkim. So it does not necessarily mean you just follow the herd. You know? So yes, it is an easy way out. You see, okay, roomtekma euta hotel chalda cha bhane sabai chalda. It might increase the market space, but is it enough to generate the economy of that area? We need to discuss that. So all these things, all like Furbasa said, it is a lot of things about awareness, interacting not within the society, also outside the society. There are a lot of people from Sikkim who are working outside. When you interact with them, then you realize, okay, these are opportunities which are there. So knowledge, of course, is the key factor. Right?
Right. So another major thing which I have observed in Sikkim is like a loanee takes loans from several banks, right? Because SBS मा चाहिँ तपाईहरुको civil report को कुनै पनि procedure छैन. So त्यसले गर्दाखेरि तपाईहरुले दिनुहुन्छ. So doesn't it affects the health of the banking system and also borrowerलाई पनि त problem हुन्छ नि त काहीँ न काहीँ गएर.
हुन्छ अहिले त अब this credit rating system आएको छ borrowers credit rating system हैन if कसैले somebody has borrowed from one bank and has defaulted there so it straight away goes into CIBIL and अर्को bank मा गएर again if he asks for loan so the CIBIL rating is analyzed no so if it is below the acceptable level then they don't get not only that no sometimes के हुन्छ भने मान्छेहरुले guarantee दिएको हुन्छ in Sikkim one of the very common and just ignorant part हाम्रो भएको guarantor कसैको नि भइहाल्छ यहाँ actually witness बस्देऊ न भनिदिन्छ हैन the simple word they use is witness बस्देऊ actually it is not witness actually these are guarantee and guarantee is such a thing it's like a cancer oh guarantor कसैको बस्नु चाहिँ it's like a cancer त्यो borrowerले default गरिदियो भने and the guarantor have it whole through his life he'll suffer त्यो कोही बेला त चिनेको पनि हुँदैन it's so casual people are so casual so guarantee बस्नु पनि एकदमै risky हो हैन they have to be very careful when they just witness भन्दै सही गरिदिइहाल्छ they don't care हैन so this should be avoided no अघि भन्दै थियो हैन borrowing मा main thing is the purpose that too many people in same place create unhealthy competition no our hotels Gangtok as Michelle was telling you 500 rooms added every year no today Gangtok has over 10,000 rooms so somewhere I had read that this year this last tourist season the Darjeeling has some 2,500 rooms whereas Gangtok has around over 10,000 rooms now. So Darjeeling sales realization this last tourist season was somewhere around 5,000 to 6,000 per room, whereas in Gangtok it is 2,000 to 3,000. So it's because of too many things, too stiff competition that has come. So कसैले invest अर्को चाहिँ के छ भने हाम्रोमा यहाँनिर somebody has constructed a hotel, so I should construct a hotel. But I don't have any idea on any hospitality industry, So anybody intending to invest in hotels, first he should understand त्यो इन्डस्ट्रीलाई राम्रो बुझ्नु पर्यो नि. He should understand what he's doing. Hotel बनाउन is not important. No, there are a lot of other things in tourism sector. No, Sikkim of course is a tourism state. We have with us today additional Chief Secretary Sir Tourism. He's looking after tourism, and yesterday I was discussing with him a lot about tourism. He has a vision for the tourism sector in Sikkim. So there are a lot of things. So everybody need not construct a hotel. There are other things to be done in tourism sector. So we can do it in a different way. हामीले यहाँको बस्ती फेरि यस्तो ठाउँमा होटल बनाउनु भन्छ हैन जहाँनेर भाइबिलिटी नै छैन हैन that has to be studied. अब now somebody was telling me that my place is very good, and from there the Kanchenjunga is seen beautifully. So I told him Kanchenjunga dekhnu is good thing, but every good thing cannot be taken for granted. Dekhnu ta, if you the Kanchenjunga is seen good from here, but if you go to Kanchenjunga, it is best seen from there. But you cannot construct a hotel there in Kanchenjunga, because nobody will go there. So any place जहाँनेर होटल बनाउँछ त्यहाँनेर at least tourism को activities पनि हुनु पर्ने. त्यहाँ बनायो भने ठीक छ नि हैन. So हाम्रो बस्तीमा गएर बस्तीमा okay homestay also can, if it is I think developed in a cluster ways, and so I think that will attract more tourists. So we also want there should be some quality tourism, instead of mass tourism. I think if we shift towards class tourism also, that will also have a positive impact on a state like Sikkim.
So we are bringing this context of tourism to understand the viability of a project, how important the project viability is to get a good finance from the bank. I would like to bring on discussion the additional Chief Secretary of Tourism Department and of course Commerce and Industries. Government has come up with this a scheme of skilled youth startup, which in fact finances the subsidy for the upcoming entrepreneurs. So as Mr. Phurba Wangde has been saying that there has been so much of similar types of projects submitted in the department. I mean, after the passing from the department, the bank finances the project. So how do you see, the challenges? What are the way forward to tackle this problem?
Good evening, everybody. First of all, my compliments to State Bank of Sikkim for having done this program. It's a very good program, and I told MD yesterday also that I think for the first time it's being done. So great initiative indeed. Then I was just listening to all the eminent panelists, and I'm sure this gathering and through the TV and all that electronic medium, it is going to everybody. Very, very good things have been talked about the project. For example, understanding the project and the viability of the project. The government's intention of bringing SYSS scheme, the Skilled Youth Startup scheme, is very clear. Government is aware that the literacy level in the state has gone up, very, very high. It's almost fully literate state. Now, the government sector has been absorbing people traditionally over the last, let's say, 70s, late 70s, 80s, 90s. There was a breakneck expansion of the government, and anybody who was a graduate became a graduate teacher and things like that. It was for asking. You got a job in the government. And that's how we grew, incomes grew. But then education levels grew up, government got saturated. So now the are very limited jobs in government sector. And whatever are available, they are very competitive jobs. You have to compete in the exam or whatever interview. So government intention is to ensure that people who are educated and unemployed, they get a decent living. They can make a decent living for them. And we had a program on 15th of July where Honorable Chief Minister was present. And I think we showed a couple of movies, documentaries, depicting the success stories of people under SYSS. And there's a program called Prime Minister's Formalization of Micro Food Processing Enterprises. And when I saw as a department, before it was being shown in the program, I was, thrilled. I was excited to see the success stories of people. Somebody is having a diagnostic center, somebody is running a wood carving kind of a thing, somebody is manufacturing paper, somebody is running a restaurant. So, for example, the girl who is running the restaurant in Namchi, she said that, Namchi needed a place like this, a happening place where people can come in the evening, they can have one or two drinks, they can sing a song, they can have, group gathering with their friends. So Namchi was not having a restaurant like that. So it is extremely important that whatever I'm going to do in any of the sector, I should not see what others have done. Must ensure that if I am going to the need for doing that, there is a demand in the market, because ultimately if I put my money and the loan amount of the loan amount in a business which is a very stiff, very tough competition, it may be difficult to recover the money. And government is giving subsidy, of course, which is meant to ease the burden of loan, and that's a great initiative, and Honorable Chief Minister has promised more and more money on our request, and the success of the scheme, seeing the success. So my only request is that, in fact I was in education sector, so I have been telling students and the teachers that, we must take the study of mathematics seriously. We don't take it sometimes, and that creates a serious problem. My own example that, if you don't understand that today if you are borrowing rupees, how much it will become tomorrow, day after, and all that. So if time permits, I'll quote a small story. There was a person who went to a king and did something, maybe sang a song or whatever. So the king was, he said that I want to give you a inam or something, in return. So would you like to take it in one go, let's say 1 lakh rupees, or you can take 1 rupee today, 2 rupees tomorrow, 4 rupees then thereafter, double of next day of what you have taken the previous day. So he said, no, I will take 1 lakh rupees. Who will take 1 rupee and then 2 rupee and 4? But if you calculate, after 30 days, he would have got, I don't know how many crores of rupees. So the study is very. Till class 10, we have got mathematics in all the schools, in all the syllabus, all the boards. So please study and try to understand the. I had planned a financial literacy subject in the schools, but then it is not allowed as per the credit, and so many complications are there. But we must understand that, from the salary, if we save every month, let's say 1,000, we can save in 1 year 12,000 and so on. That's how the money grows. Then if you put the money in the banks, how the money grows. So overall, I would say that the SYSS scheme is extremely beneficial. It has shown that, it has demonstrated that it is a very useful scheme. People have benefited in many industries, small industries. They have employed 4 or 5 people, and we are going to implement it vigorously. One of them, I'm sorry, I'm taking a little longer time. One of them mentioned about getting online orders. So nowadays, the market is not limited to Sikkim. The market is unlimited. You can use online platform to market your products. So in nutshell, people have to take advantage of this scheme, and the banks and everybody is there to help them.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind and valuable input. So the message is very strong and loud and clear that just don't take loan for the sake of taking loan. So this is what we are discussing today. So I would like to open this house for the discussions. We are welcoming the questions, and we are welcoming the suggestions, ideas, opinions, as we feel like this is one of the most important topics to be discussed. May I request the sound team to kindly roll microphone roll गरिदिनुस् तपाईहरुले, and I request the participants to kindly throw your questions, suggestions, opinions, anything in the issue. Can we have the participants, please? All right, let me start with Mr. Karma Bhutia. Mr. Karma Bhutia is from Sikkim, and he's an entrepreneur based in Bangalore. So your idea of the best borrowing practices.
So the topic generally is a smart borrower. I was thinking, who is a smart borrower in context of India? And the first 3 names that came in is Vijay Mallya, Mehul Choksi, and Nirav Modi. And that is what struck me. Who is a smart borrower? They've gone scot-free, almost with over 1 lakh crore, I think, among them. So, but they are fugitives, jokes aside. So if we look, I don't have a question because if we have to look at it, one of the things at which the panels panel hasn't touched upon is what is the arbitrage at the end of the day? Borrowing, if you look at borrowing, what is the arbitrage? The arbitrage is against time. We are playing against time. Time is, you have a limited amount of time, probably in this day and day and age, we have probably will live on an average, maybe with all the pollution, etc., maybe on an average 60, 65 years. Now out of that, 20, 24 years are going into your studies, etc., right? Then you become reasonably, educated enough to have a handsome income or a pliable income to basically suffice for a household. Now that is almost like, about, if you look at 60, that's almost like 30% of your life is just gone. 30, 35% of your life is gone. Then about the rest, then that is the time you go again, you bang, either you look for a job, and that's that limited amount of time, around 40 years that you can basically capitalize on, right? So what will you do with that time? You buy a house, buy a car, what are the things that you need to buy? Or you want to you start an enterprise, collect those kind of things. So, and then the thing is, then that particular thing is about time. The underlying capital for borrowing is time, right? Now, we are in an ecosystem where nobody provides any impetus in terms of risk also, in terms of like on the insurance side, you have all of this risk aggregation happening. On the lending side, there's no risk aggregation happening. The banks are not, they are risk averse. You give me your phone, against this, it's like a pawn shop, You give me something, I will give you give me a collateral, I'll give you money against that, right? They are also a business at the end of the day. Now, but for businesses to survive, for the businesses to come up, especially the young entrepreneurs who are just getting out of college, that is a big loophole, right? So that, I think, is something that any of the panel can just take it up. One is of time, and second is of risk aggregation on both sides.
Yes, Mr. Wongdi.
Yeah, Mr. Karma, I think referred to Malya Choksi and etc., etc. That took the I think Indian market by storm. See, banking industry in India is also not is also has a unhealthy competition. I have attended when I was working in a nationalized bank. So I used to attend consortium meeting. So when you deal with this kind of big guys, okay, so bankers are normally at their receiving ends. My banker friend from State Bank of India is also here. So there, you bankers, they don't dictate. These companies dictate. Suppose if there is a, say, consortium lending of, say, 3,000 crore, so they don't have time. These big companies, they come to the meeting and then say, okay, State Bank of India, bolo, kitna dena hai? Okay, Punjab National Bank, bolo, kitna de, 200 crore dege, consortium, the share. And you have to, in a fraction of a minute, you have to give a decision, Okay, there hai. That kind of things, And they'll say, nahi dena hai to chalo, dusra banker bahar khada hai. That kind of situation is created, So miscalculation happens on, also on the part of the bank. So bank lost money, but there are laws of the land is there. Okay, so definitely I think it will take care. A lot of news are coming in. I think let's hope. I think good things come up, no? I think Mr. Navneet wants to add something on this.
So, Mr. Karma beautifully touched on one point, that is with the examples of all the people who've defrauded banks. But this is what I want to tell the startups, the young students here who want to start businesses. What you need to do is actually build equity. Equity in terms of collaterals, one, which is the simplest form. Second is terms of your own brand equity. Now, once you have the equity, the market knows you as a person who delivers, the bank knows you as a person who repays your loan. So that is checked by way of CIBIL or other things. But that character, once that is built, your creditors know, your debtors know, everybody in the market knows that equity has been built or your brand is holding that kind of power, then there is no stopping you. So I think the most important here, like Karma sir said, is time, and then of course your own equity that you need to build.
All right. We'll go for more question.
Yeah, hello. First of all, sir, I would like to say thank you to SBS State Bank of Sikkim for giving 700 loans to SOS entrepreneurs. So it was a huge thing. So like, I would like my entrepreneur friends to give a big clapping for this, whoever got loans for this. I think SBS has played a huge role this time around. For this, I think I would like to congratulate SBS Bank, and also want to like to thank Honorable CM Saab for really energizing all of us to get up for this kind of a entrepreneurship in Sikkim. And of course, followed by State Bank of India. They also have, I think, given so far 110 SOS loan. So my only thing is this, sir, as being an entrepreneur, see, like when you are giving loan to any entrepreneur, it is a risk capital. First of all, I think that's one has to understand. And business may fail or it may succeed. As an entrepreneur in the last 20 years, I have experience. I have failed in a lot of businesses. I've closed down my 2 restaurants. I've lost 2-3 businesses. But in life, what happens as an entrepreneur, you have to fail fast, and you have to should be able to start business very soon also, once you fail that. And if you penalize person for failing for a genuine effort in life, so you say you failed in my paying my loan by giving all the effort, whatever I could put as an entrepreneur, then I should not be penalized for my lifetime, not to again borrow money from the bank. So that's my request to any banker. You should be able to understand who has given the genuine effort to build their businesses. So today, when you have given loan to 700 people, I'm sure, sir, tomorrow after 3 years down the line, you'll come to know, out of that, maybe 70% people may not be able to sustain themselves. Or out of that, maybe 30% of the people will be able to pay back their loans. But my point is that these 30% of people will be able to create asset, will be able to create jobs in the market. So my only request to the banker, State Bank of India, is also here, sir. When you are giving loan to an entrepreneur, you are giving a risk capital, sir. And any economy, any society needs risk capital. Today you see America is one of the world's most entrepreneurial society. Why? Because they have huge pool of risk capital in the form of private equity, in the form of venture capitalists. But here in Sikkim, we only have banks. And that too banks, State Bank of Sikkim, luckily this time around, they have really come out and really helped local entrepreneurs. But I also request SBI also to come forward and help local entrepreneurs to get loan. As an entrepreneur, I will request the bankers, please provide us loan. Because without loan, we will not be able to start a business. Had I already had a lot of money, then I will not start a business. Entrepreneur means that he wants to start a business and he needs access to capital. That's my request to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raj, for complimenting State Bank of Sikkim. State Bank of Sikkim has already financed some 700 plus startup scheme since its inception, And State Bank of India also has financed some 130 or 120 startup schemes. And other banks are also there. So together, I think something around 1,000 projects must have been sanctioned, financed from the banking industry in Sikkim, So yesterday we were discussing with, I was discussing with the ACS sir. So if every project creates 5 employment, then it's close to 5,000 employment generated within a span of 2 to 3 years. And this is the biggest development that has taken place in the history of Sikkim. This has to be acknowledged, no? 5,000 employment generation in 2 to 3 years. And this employment, you 5,000 junchi employment, this is productive employment. This is not just, the employment which we give, hamroma kamai chaina ra pani talab diरहेको छ. Not that this is productive employment. Real employment ho yo. This is the biggest development that has taken place in Sikkim in the last 2 to 3 years. This has to be acknowledged. Never did it happen in Sikkim. I can claim it. This is not 20,000 one family, one job employment. This is real employment that is taking place in Sikkim. This is a serious business we are into. You know, my college friends from college, he was talking about startup schemes and risk capital. You know, first thing I think to start a business, the first equity that you require is the patience. Patience in business is very, very important. You know, we're talking about risk capital. No, the 35% subsidy that government is pushing in is a big incentive. I would have suggested to lower this subsidy, you know, because it's a huge burden for the government. 35%, it's a huge burden. You know, we don't have that kind of revenue generation in the state, but yet the government is so serious in generating employment. No? So this is the real development taking place. We don't count, at least for me, I don't count constructing a big building or a statue on top of a hill as a development. This is real development that has taken place in Sikkim. This must be acknowledged, you know. And government is so serious on this startup scheme. So everybody, I think, instead of running after this 10,000 rupees ad hoc job, I think it would be much better for our young entrepreneur, youngsters, young students, you know, from college. They should understand, you know, the potential of business, starting their own enterprise. You know, this should be understood. No.
Yes.
And,
all right.
And State Bank of India is there. You know, one of the State Bank of India is the economic force of the country. We, State Bank of Sikkim, we are a very small banking institution of the state. No, but the State Bank of India, the Punjab National Bank, the Bank of Baroda, these are now, all these banks merged together are the mega bank of the country, you know. They should come forward. No, they should come forward. Our entrepreneurs are looking at them, you know. Why people talk about Malya and Choksi and all that? They should talk about some Bhotias, Lepchas and rise of Sikkims also, no? So our entrepreneurs are ready. I think banking industry also should remain ready. You know, actually my friend Navneet was a few days back, we were discussing on, you know, the GDP to bank borrowing ratio, right? I think in China, the GDP to bank borrowing ratio is 180%, you know, and in other developed nation it is 99%. Am I right? And in India, you know, it is below 50%. But that is why we are still a developing nation. So banks should also come up. So banks should make ready. State Bank of Sikkim is a very small institution. We are doing whatever we can. But I hope our banker friends from big banks, mega banks, you know, they'll come forward to help this nation push forward. This 75th year of independence, today we are celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, no? I think this is the right time that if our bankers all over the country, okay, if they understand their own, you know, own their strength, I think our nation will move forward. We will be surpassing all the big nations of the world. Thank you.
All right. So we'll have an add-on from the representative of State Bank of India. What's your opinion on the issues raised by Mr. Raj Lama?
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Furba Sherpa. I'm Chief Manager at SBI Gangtok main branch. And I would, first of all, I would like to congratulate MD sir and team SBS for organizing such a wonderful event. It is an honor for me to be here, present among everyone. And I totally agree with everything that MD sir and Raju sir has just said. Yes, we are, SBI is one of the branches, banks in the country. And that is at the national level. If we look at it at the state level, then I would like to say that maybe SBS is slightly bigger than us, right? But yes, we are doing everything we can. We are totally 100% hands-on with the policies of the government, the the priorities of the government. Developing young entrepreneurs has always been one of our priorities, which may have taken a hit a few years back, but right now under the able leadership of our regional manager, who must be arriving shortly, Mr. Samdin Dorji Lama, we have been putting a lot of focus into SYSS, even the PMEGP proposals and all. And apart from everything that has been said, I would just like to say that, like Mr. Raju sir said that, like, you know, for a young entrepreneur, for a new graduate who has nothing, who has no equity, who has no capital, at SBI there is always something. The central government, there's the central government scheme, that various schemes like CGTMSE, CGFMU, and CGSSI. That is Credit Guarantee Trust for micro units, small scale industries, and small and medium enterprises. So for those who cannot provide collaterals, there is always something, there is a fund that is there that can guarantee your loan. So if you approach any bank, then I'm sure, like, you know, on the basis that there is no collateral, your loan application will not be rejected. Right? So that is what I wish to add, and thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you so much. Do we have some more questions? Any questions from the audience? If not, then we are moving on with the next program. But before I invite, all right, you want to add something on that?
As far as Raj's question is concerned, I fully agree. As most people, like out of 100 people we give loan, only 30 are successful. Yes, very true figure. 70 fail, completely fail. But 70 people for youngsters, you know, I'd like to say ki it's just an experience first. Take whatever you failed as an experience one, and now we are not getting loan. So off the track I'm saying, do a small planning. Because normally you come to chartered accountants only for planning, only for problem solutions. Then you form a partnership firm, altogether a different entity. Nothing to do with your individual. Take a loan on the partnership firm. मान लीजिए partnership firm भी fail हो गया. Then he can join a company, form a company. Even if that fails, that is a different pan. Then go into LLP. It is not that ki your stones just stops there. Your intention to do, your intention to work hard, and intention to repay will always be taken care of. So small planning is required.
All right. Any questions? Any more questions? तपाईहरुको केही सजेशन्सहरु छ, केही भन्न चाहनुहुन्छ भने तपाईले भन्दा हुन्छ फोरममा. र अघि डिस्कसनमा यो कुरो उठेको थियो कि SBS अथवा स्टेट बैंक अफ सिक्किमले अन्डर स्किल्ड युथ स्टार्टअप प्रोग्राम अराउन्ड टु बी स्पेसिफिक 730 प्रोजेक्ट्सहरु फाइनान्स गरेको छ है. अनि यो जानकारी तपाईहरुलाई दिँदा अति नै मलाई खुसी लागिरहेको छ कि देयर आर सो मेनी सक्सेस स्टोरीज अन्डर दिस स्किम जो SBS ले फन्ड गरेकोमा. अनि यी मध्ये 3 जना सक्सेसफुल एन्टरप्रेन्योर्सहरु आज हामी माझ हुनुहुन्छ है. र उहाँलाई म 3 मिनेटको समय दिन चाहन्छु है. र उहाँहरुको एक्सपिरियन्स कस्तो रह्यो, अनि आई think they are the smart borrowers because they have been really doing good in their ventures and also been repaying back the loan. So I'd like to welcome on podium Mr. Amrit Sharma. Mr. Amrit Sharma is the founder of Chalamthang Homestay in South Sikkim, and his homestay has been really doing good. 3 minutes, Amrit, to share your testimony.